Beatrice pressed her gloved hand against the purple-black bruise spreading across her ribs and felt the stagecoach lurch to a stop. Through the dusty window, she saw him, the stranger she'd agreed to marry, without ever seeing his face. Samuel Osborne stood beside the horses, his hat pulled low, and when their eyes met, Beatrice's breath caught. Not from fear this time, from something else entirely. She'd fled one man's fists, only to walk straight into another man's life, and God help her, she had no idea if she'd just made the worst mistake of her life, or the only choice that might save it. Before we continue, please subscribe to our channel and stay with me until the end of this story. Comment below with the city you're watching from so I can see how far this story has traveled. Now let's begin. Samuel Osborne watched the woman climb down from the stagecoach and knew immediately that something was wrong. The way she moved, careful, deliberate, like every step might shatter something inside her, told him more than any letter ever could. Her dress was plain gray wool, travel-worn and dusty, and she clutched a small carpet bag against her chest like it was the only thing keeping her upright. "Miss Daniels?" he asked, removing his hat. She flinched, actually flinched at the sound of her own name. "Yes," she whispered. "Mr. Osborne. Sam. Just Sam." He kept his distance, sensing her unease. "Welcome to Julesburg. I hope the journey wasn't too difficult." Beatrice's laugh came out sharp and bitter. "The journey? No, Mr. Osborne. The journey was the easy part." He studied her face, then really looked at her. Late 20s maybe. Dark hair pulled back so tight it must hurt. Eyes that had seen too much. And there, just below her left ear, a fading yellow bruise she'd tried to cover with powder. "It's just Sam," he repeated quietly, "and I'm not going to hurt you." Her eyes snapped to his, wide and searching. "You don't know that." "Yes, I do. Every man says that." Sam felt something twist in his chest. "Then every man you've known has been a liar. I'm not." He gestured toward the wagon. "Your trunk is already loaded. The ranch is about an hour's ride. We can talk on the way, or we can sit in silence. Your choice." She stared at him for a long moment. "Silence," she finally said. "I'd prefer silence." "All right." But 20 minutes into the ride, she broke it herself. "Why did you really send for a wife, Mr. Osborne?" "Sam." "Why did you send for a wife, Sam?" He kept his eyes on the road. "Same reason you answered the advertisement, I expect. I needed something to change." "That's not an answer." "It's the only one I've got right now." Beatrice shifted on the wagon seat, and he saw her wince. The movement was slight, but it was there. "The advertisement said you wanted a marriage of convenience. What does that mean exactly?" Sam took a breath. Here it was, the conversation he'd been dreading. "It means I need someone to help run the household. Someone to cook, manage the house, maybe help with the books. In return, you get safety, a roof over your head, your own room and respect. Nothing more than that." "Nothing more," she repeated slowly. "So this is a business arrangement?" "Yes." "You don't want a real wife?" He gripped the reins tighter. "I want exactly what I said in the letter. A partner. Someone I can trust. Someone who won't run off or cause trouble. Someone who needs what I can offer." And what if what you can offer isn't enough? The question hung in the air between them. Sam finally turned to look at her. "Then you tell me and we figure something else out. But Beatrice, can I call you Beatrice?" "Everyone calls me B." "B then. I'm not a complicated man. I work hard, I keep my word, and I don't lie. If you ask me a question, I'll give you an honest answer. If you need something, you tell me, and I'll do my best to provide it. If you want to leave, I won't stop you. But while you're under my roof, you're under my protection. Nobody touches you. Nobody hurts you. Not even me." She looked away, her jaw working. "You say that now." "I'll say it every day, if that's what it takes for you to believe it." "Words are easy, Mr. Osborne." "Sam, and you're right. Words are easy. So watch what I do instead." They rode in silence for a while longer. The landscape stretched out around them, endless sky-rolling grassland, the Rocky Mountains purple in the distance. It was beautiful and terrifying in its vastness. Beatrice had spent her whole life in Boston, surrounded by buildings and people and noise. Out here there was nothing but space and silence, and the steady rhythm of the horses' hooves. "How far is your ranch?" she asked. "Our ranch," Sam corrected. "About 10 more minutes." "Our ranch!" she repeated, testing the words. They felt foreign in her mouth. Sam glanced at her. "You all right?" "I don't know. Ask me tomorrow." When they finally arrived, Beatrice was surprised by what she saw. The house was small but well built, with a wide porch and shutters that looked freshly painted. There was a barn, a chicken coop, a corral with several horses. Everything was neat, orderly, cared for. "It's not much," Sam said, climbing down from the wagon, "but it's solid, and it's paid for." Beatrice accepted his hand. She had no choice, and the moment his fingers closed around hers, she went rigid. Sam released her immediately, stepping back. "I'm sorry," he said. "Don't," she whispered. "Don't apologize, I need a minute." He nodded and moved to unload her trunk. Beatrice stood there breathing slowly, trying to calm her racing heart. It was just a hand. Just a simple gesture of help. But her body remembered other hands, other touches, and it responded with pure terror. "Bee!" She turned. Sam stood on the porch, her trunk at his feet. "Your room is upstairs, first door on the right. There's a lock on the inside of the door. I had it installed last week." Something in her chest cracked open. "You put a lock on my door?" "Yes." "Why?" "Because you should feel safe in your own room. Because I want you to know that nobody comes in unless you say so. Not even me." Beatrice felt tears prick her eyes. "I don't understand you." "You don't have to. Not yet." She climbed the steps slowly, each one an effort. Her ribs ached, her legs ached, everything ached. But when she reached the top, and Sam opened the door to her room, she almost cried. It was simple, but clean. A bed with a quilted coverlet. A dresser with a mirror. A window overlooking the fields. A small table with a basin and pitcher. And there on the inside of the door, a brass lock with a key sitting in it. "I'll bring up your trunk," Sam said. "Then I'll start dinner. You hungry?" "I haven't eaten since yesterday." "Then you're starving. Come down when you're ready." He left and Beatrice closed the door behind him. She turned the key in the lock and heard it click. Then she sank onto the bed and let herself cry for the first time since leaving Boston. She cried for Edwin's fists and his rage. She cried for her own stupidity in trusting him. She cried for the bruises under her dress and the fear that still lived in her bones. But most of all, she cried because a stranger had just given her something she'd never had before, a choice. When she finally came downstairs, her eyes were red, but her spine was straight. Sam stood at the stove stirring something in a pot. The kitchen smelled like beef and onions and fresh bread. "Stew," he said without turning around. "It's simple, but it's hot." "I can cook," Beatrice said. "Tomorrow I'll cook. Today you rest. Tomorrow we'll figure out the routine." She sat at the table and watched him work. His movements were efficient, practiced. He'd been taking care of himself for a long time, she realized. This wasn't a man who needed a wife to survive. This was a man who'd chosen to find one anyway. "How long have you been alone here?" she asked. 3 years. "And before that?" Sam's shoulders tensed. "Before that, I wasn't alone." "What happened?" He set a bowl of stew in front of her. "We can talk about that another time. Eat." Beatrice picked up her spoon, and her hand trembled. Sam noticed. Of course he noticed, but he didn't say anything. He just sat down across from her with his own bowl and started eating. They ate in silence for several minutes before Beatrice spoke again. "The advertisement said you wanted someone who needed a fresh start. Why specifically that?" Sam met her eyes. Because people who need fresh starts understand the value of second chances. And they don't ask too many questions about other people's pasts. Is your past something I should worry about? No, but it's mine, and I'm not ready to share it yet. That's fair, Beatrice said. I have a past I'm not ready to share either. I know. She set down her spoon. What do you know? I know you're running from something. I know someone hurt you. I know you're scared. He paused. And I know that's all I need to know right now. Beatrice's throat tightened. You're a strange man, Sam Osborne. I've been called worse. A small smile tugged at her lips, the first real smile she'd felt in months. I bet you have. After dinner, Sam showed her around the house. There wasn't much to show. The kitchen a sitting room with a fireplace and 2 chairs, a small office where he kept his ledgers, and upstairs 3 bedrooms. Hers, his, and an empty one at the end of the hall. What's that room for? Beatrice asked. Sam's face closed off. Nothing. Storage. But she'd seen the way his expression shifted, the flash of pain in his eyes, and she knew he was lying. She didn't push. They'd both agreed to keep their pasts private, at least for now. That night, Beatrice lay in bed and listened to the silence. No carriages rattling past. No neighbors shouting. No footsteps in the hall outside her door. Just wind and crickets, and the occasional sound of a horse shifting in the barn. She touched the bruise on her ribs and remembered Edwin's face, his cold eyes, his casual cruelty. You think you can just leave? He'd said, his hand wrapped around her throat. You think anyone else would want you? You're nothing, Beatrice. Nothing. But lying here in this small room in Colorado with a lock on her door and a stranger who'd promised not to hurt her, she thought maybe Edwin had been wrong. Maybe she was something after all. The next morning, Beatrice woke to the smell of coffee. She dressed carefully, choosing a plain blue dress that hid most of her bruises, and went downstairs. Sam was already in the kitchen scrambling eggs. Morning, he said. Coffee's on the stove. You don't have to cook for me, Beatrice said. I told you I can handle the kitchen. I know, but this morning I wanted to. He plated the eggs and handed her a fork. Eat. Then we'll talk about how things are going to work around here. They sat across from each other again, and Beatrice realized this might become their routine. This table, these chairs, this quiet morning ritual. I wake up around 5, Sam said. I take care of the horses, check the cattle, mend fences, whatever needs doing. I come back for lunch around noon. Dinner's usually around 6. The house is yours to manage however you see fit. If you need supplies from town, make a list and we'll go together. If you need anything else, you tell me. What about Sundays? What about them? Do you go to church? Sam's expression darkened. No. Why not? Because God and I aren't on speaking terms. Beatrice understood that. She'd stopped praying the first time Edwin hit her. All right, no church. Does that bother you? No. They finished breakfast and Sam stood. I need to get to work. You all right here by yourself? Beatrice looked around the kitchen at the morning light streaming through the windows, at the simple peace of it all. Yes, she said. I think I am. Sam nodded and headed for the door, but he paused with his hand on the knob. B. Yes. If you need me, ring the bell on the porch. I'll hear it. Then he was gone, and Beatrice was alone. She spent the morning exploring the house properly, learning where everything was kept. The pantry was well stocked, the linens were clean. Everything had its place. She found herself in Sam's office, looking at the ledgers on his desk. She shouldn't pry, but curiosity won out. She opened the top book and scanned the entries. Sam kept meticulous records, every penny accounted for, every expense noted. He wasn't wealthy, but he wasn't struggling either. The ranch was profitable, steady. And then she saw it. A separate ledger, smaller, tucked beneath the others. She pulled it out and opened it. The entries were different here. Personal. Money sent to someone named Clara. Regular payments every month for 2 years. And then they stopped. The last entry was dated 3 years ago, and beside it, Sam had written just 2 words, "She's gone." Beatrice closed the ledger quickly, her heart pounding. She shouldn't have looked. This was Sam's private pain, not hers to uncover. But now she understood. The empty room upstairs. The reason he didn't go to church. The shadow that crossed his face when she asked about his past. Someone named Clara had been important to him. And she was gone. Beatrice put the ledger back exactly as she'd found it and left the office. She spent the rest of the day cleaning, cooking, trying to make herself useful. When Sam came in for lunch, she had stew warming on the stove and fresh bread cooling on the counter. "You didn't have to do all this," he said, looking around at the spotless kitchen. "I wanted to earn my keep." "You don't have to earn anything. You live here now. This is your home." The word felt strange. Home. Beatrice had never really had one. "Thank you," she whispered. Sam washed his hands at the basin and sat down. They ate together, and Beatrice noticed the way exhaustion lined his face. He worked hard. Too hard, maybe. "How many acres do you have?" she asked. 300. Most of it's grazing land for the cattle." "How many head?" "About 50 right now. I'm building the herd slowly." "That's smart." Sam looked at her with something like surprise. "You know ranching?" "No, but I know business. My father was a merchant before he died. He taught me how to read ledgers, how to manage accounts." "Is that right?" "I could help you with the books if you wanted. I saw—" She stopped herself. "I mean, if you needed help, I could do that." Sam's eyes narrowed slightly. "You saw the ledgers." "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have looked." "It's your house too. You can look at whatever you want." He took a bite of bread. "Can you really manage accounts?" "Yes." "Then they're yours. I hate doing the damn books anyway." Beatrice felt something shift inside her. He wasn't angry that she'd snooped. He was giving her responsibility. Trust. "I'll take good care of them," she promised. "I know you will." That afternoon, Beatrice worked on the ledgers while Sam returned to his chores. She reorganized the entries, created clearer categories, identified places where they could save money or invest better. The work felt good, purposeful. It gave her something to focus on, besides her own fear. When Sam came in for dinner that evening, she had a full report ready. "You could increase your profits by 15% if you negotiated better prices on feed," she said, showing him her calculations. "And if you bought a second bull, you could build your herd faster without the risk of inbreeding." Sam stared at the numbers. "How did you figure all this out in one afternoon?" "I told you, I know business." He looked at her with something new in his eyes. Respect. "You're full of surprises, aren't you?" "Maybe. Or maybe you just didn't ask the right questions." Sam smiled, a real smile that transformed his whole face. "I'm starting to think I got the better end of this bargain." Beatrice felt warmth spread through her chest. "Don't speak too soon. You haven't tasted my cooking yet." But when they sat down to dinner, roast chicken with vegetables and gravy, Sam's expression said everything. "This," he said after the first bite, "is the best meal I've had in 3 years." "You're exaggerating." "I'm not. This is incredible." She ducked her head, fighting a smile. "It's just chicken." "It's not just chicken, it's magic." They ate in comfortable silence for a while, and then Sam spoke again. "I want you to know something. This arrangement, this marriage, it doesn't have to stay the way it is." Beatrice's fork stilled. "What do you mean?" "I mean, if things change, if you want things to change, we can talk about it." Her heart started racing. "I don't understand." Sam met her eyes. "I'm just saying you're not locked into anything. Not really. We can make this whatever we need it to be." "And what do you need it to be?" He looked away. "I don't know yet." That night, lying in bed again, Beatrice thought about Sam's words. About possibility. About the strange, unexpected kindness of this man who'd promised her safety and seemed determined to deliver it. She thought about Edwin and his rage. about Boston and her old life, about everything she'd run from. And then she thought about the future spread out before her like the endless Colorado sky, and for the first time in a very long time, she felt something that might have been hope. The first week passed like a dream Beatrice was afraid to wake from. She cooked, cleaned, managed the books, and watched Sam work himself to exhaustion every single day. He was up before dawn and didn't stop until well after dark. She'd catch glimpses of him from the kitchen window, mending fences, herding cattle, chopping wood, and wonder how one man could carry so much weight alone. On the 8th morning, she made a decision. "I'm coming with you today," she announced at breakfast. Sam looked up from his eggs. Wherever you're going. The north pasture, the barn, I don't care. You can't do everything yourself." "B, you don't have to." "I know I don't have to. I want to." He studied her face, and she saw the calculation happening behind his eyes. Finally, he nodded. "All right, but you wear proper boots and gloves. No arguments." She smiled. "No arguments." 2 hours later, Beatrice stood in the north pasture, her hands blistered, despite the gloves, sweat running down her back, and felt more alive than she had in years. Sam had put her to work repairing a section of fence, showing her how to string the wire tight, how to hammer the posts secure. "You're stronger than you look," he said, watching her work. "I've had to be." The words came out before she could stop them, and Sam went very still. "Edwin," he said quietly. "That was his name, wasn't it? The man who hurt you." Beatrice's hands froze on the wire. "How did you? You talk in your sleep sometimes. I hear you through the wall." Horror washed over her. "What do I say?" "Nothing clear, just his name, and please stop." Sam's voice had gone hard as iron. "Is he the reason you answered my advertisement?" She couldn't look at him. "Yes." "Was he your husband?" "My cousin. He took me in after my parents died, said he'd take care of me." The laugh that escaped her was ugly. "He took care of me all right." Sam drove his hammer into a post with enough force to split it. "God damn it!" "It's over now. I left. I'm here." "Did anyone try to stop him? Did anyone know what he was doing to you?" "Everyone knew. No one cared. He had money status. I was just his orphaned cousin. Who was going to believe me over him?" Sam threw the hammer down and turned to face her fully. "I would have. If I'd known." "But you didn't know. Nobody knew. That's how men like Edwin operate. They hide it well." "How long?" 2 years. Sam's face went white. 2 years of that, and you still had the courage to get on a stagecoach and come here to marry a stranger." It wasn't courage. It was desperation. It was both. Sam picked up his hammer again, but his hands were shaking. "I need you to know something, B. If he ever comes here, if he ever tries to find you—" "He won't. He doesn't care enough to look. If he does," Sam continued, his voice deadly quiet, "he'll regret it. I promise you that." Beatrice felt tears sting her eyes. "You can't promise that. You don't know what he's like." "I know exactly what he's like. I've known men like him." Sam's jaw clenched. "My sister Clara." He stopped abruptly, the name hanging between them like a gunshot. "Clara," Beatrice repeated softly. "The woman from your ledger." Sam's head snapped up. "You did more than just glance at the books." "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have pried." "No, you shouldn't have." He walked away several paces, his back rigid. "But since you already know her name, you might as well know the rest." Beatrice waited, her heart pounding. "Clara was my little sister, 3 years younger than me. Sweetest person you'd ever meet. When she was 19, she married a man named Thomas Garrett. Rich family, good prospects, seemed like a perfect match." Sam's voice had gone flat, emotionless. 6 months later, I got a letter from her. She said she was happy, everything was fine, but something about it didn't sit right, so I rode out to Denver to see her. What did you find? Bruises, just like yours. She tried to hide them, made excuses, said she'd fallen down the stairs. Sam turned back to face her, and Beatrice saw raw anguish in his eyes. I begged her to leave him, told her she could come live with me. But she wouldn't. She said it was her duty as a wife, that she'd made vows before God. Oh, Sam. I tried to convince her for 3 days. Finally, she told me to leave. Said I was making things worse, that Thomas would punish her for my interference. So I left. His voice cracked. 3 months later, I got a telegram. Clara was dead. They said she fell down the stairs. Broke her neck. Beatrice pressed her hand to her mouth. I went to the funeral. Thomas stood there crying, playing the devastated widower. Everyone believed him. Everyone except me. Sam's hands curled into fists. I wanted to kill him. I had my gun, I had the opportunity. But I didn't. Because what good would it do? Clara was already gone. That's why you sent for a mail-order bride, Beatrice whispered. You were looking for someone like her. Someone who needed help. I was looking for someone I could actually save this time. Sam met her eyes. I failed Clara. I'm not going to fail you. The weight of his words settled over her like a blanket. I'm not your sister. I know that. And I'm not your responsibility. You became my responsibility the moment you stepped off that stagecoach. Beatrice didn't know what to say to that. So she did the only thing she could think of. She walked over to him and placed her hand on his arm. It was the first time she'd voluntarily touched him. Sam looked down at her hand, then up at her face. Thank you, she said simply. For telling me. For being honest. He nodded, not trusting himself to speak. They worked in silence for the rest of the afternoon, but something had shifted between them. The secret was out. The pain they'd both been carrying had been shared, and somehow that made the burden lighter. That evening, Beatrice made chicken and dumplings for dinner. Sam ate 3 helpings and pronounced it the second best meal he'd ever had. What was the first? Beatrice asked. The chicken you made last week, but this is a close second. She laughed, actually laughed, and Sam's whole face transformed. You should do that more often, he said. What? Laugh. It suits you. Beatrice felt her cheeks warm. I haven't had much to laugh about lately. Then I'll have to work harder to give you reasons. The words were simple, almost casual, but they carried a promise that made Beatrice's heart skip. She cleared the dishes quickly, needing something to do with her hands, and Sam followed her to the kitchen. Let me help, he said. You worked all day. I can handle the dishes. So did you. And I want to help. They stood side by side at the basin, Sam washing while Beatrice dried. It was domestic, intimate, and completely terrifying. Beatrice could feel the heat radiating from his body, could smell the soap and sweat and leather that seemed to be his permanent scent. Tell me about Boston, Sam said suddenly. What do you want to know? Anything. Everything. What was your life like before Edwin? Beatrice thought back to those hazy, golden days when her parents were still alive. My father owned a general store. Not fancy, but successful. My mother was a seamstress. They worked hard, but we were happy. I had a normal childhood. School friends, church on Sundays. Did you have siblings? No. Just me. My mother had difficult pregnancies. I was the only one who survived. Sam's hands stilled in the water. That must have been lonely. Sometimes. But my parents made up for it. They loved me fiercely. Her voice caught. They died in a fire. The store caught fire in the middle of the night. They were asleep in the apartment above it. They never had a chance. How old were you? 23. And Edwin took you in. He was my only living relative. I had nowhere else to go. Beatrice set down the dish she was drying. At first he was kind. Gave me a room in his house, let me keep working as a seamstress. I thought I was lucky to have him. When did it change? About 6 months in. I was working late one night finishing a dress for a client. Edwin came home drunk. He said something about how I should be grateful, how I owed him for his generosity. I agreed. I said I was grateful. But apparently I didn't say it the right way. She touched her ribs unconsciously. That was the first time he hit me. Sam's jaw clenched so hard she heard his teeth grind. And it got worse from there. It always does, doesn't it? The first time is almost an accident. They apologize. Promise it'll never happen again. But it does happen again, and again, until you realize the apologies mean nothing. Why didn't you leave sooner? Where would I go? I had no money, no family, no prospects. Edwin made sure of that. He controlled everything: my work, my income, my freedom. He told me every day that I was worthless, that no one else would want me, that I should be grateful he even tolerated my presence. But you got out. I stole enough money for a train ticket. Took me 8 months to save it, hiding pennies here and there. And when I saw your advertisement in the newspaper, Marriage Fresh Start Colorado, I knew it was my chance. Maybe my only chance. Sam turned to face her fully, his hands still dripping with dishwater. B, I need you to understand something. What Edwin told you, it was all lies. You're not worthless. You're not unwanted. You're smart, capable, strong. I'm broken, she interrupted. I flinch when you move too fast. I wake up screaming from nightmares. I can't even let you touch my hand without my whole body going rigid. That's not strong. That's damaged. No, Sam said firmly. That's surviving. There's a difference. Beatrice felt tears spill over. I don't know how to be normal anymore. I don't know how to trust people. I don't know how to... She stopped, unable to finish the sentence. How to what? How to be a real wife. The words hung in the air between them, heavy with meaning. Sam reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away, and wiped a tear from her cheek with his thumb. Beatrice didn't flinch this time. She stood perfectly still, letting him touch her, fighting every instinct that screamed at her to run. You don't have to be anything you're not ready to be, Sam said softly. We have time, all the time you need. What if I'm never ready? Then we'll figure that out together. Beatrice searched his face, looking for the lie, the manipulation, the hidden anger. But all she saw was patience and something that might have been tenderness. Why are you being so kind to me? She whispered. Because you deserve kindness. Because Clara deserved it too, and nobody gave it to her. Sam's hand dropped back to his side. And maybe because I'm tired of living with ghosts. That night, Beatrice lay in bed thinking about Sam's words, about Clara and Thomas, about the sister he couldn't save and the guilt that must eat at him every day, about the way he looked at her not with pity, but with understanding. She got up and walked to her window. Across the hall she could see light under Sam's door. He was still awake too. Before she could talk herself out of it, Beatrice crossed the hallway and knocked softly. Come in, Sam's voice called. She opened the door and found him sitting on his bed, still fully dressed, a book in his hands. He looked surprised to see her. B, everything all right? I couldn't sleep. I was thinking about what you said, about Clara. Sam closed the book. I shouldn't have burdened you with that. It wasn't a burden. It was honest. She stepped into the room, her bare feet cold on the wooden floor. Can I ask you something? Anything. Do you blame yourself for what happened to her? Sam's silence was answer enough. You shouldn't, Beatrice said. You tried to save her. She made her own choice to stay. That doesn't make it easier. No, but it's not your fault. She moved closer. Just like what Edwin did to me isn't my fault. We both know that, right? In our heads we know it. But our hearts are harder to convince. Sam looked up at her, and she saw the raw vulnerability in his eyes. How do you do it? How do you keep going after everything you've been through? The same way you do, one day at a time, one choice at a time. Beatrice sat down on the edge of his bed, a bold move that surprised them both. "Sam, I need you to know something. What you're doing for me, giving me a home, treating me with respect, being patient, it's changing me. Every day I feel a little less broken, a little more like myself." "You were never broken, B. You were hurt. There's a difference." "Then so were you." The words seemed to hit him like a physical blow. He stared at her for a long moment, and then slowly he reached out and took her hand. Beatrice's first instinct was to pull away, but she fought it. She let him hold her hand, let herself feel the warmth of his skin against hers, let herself believe that not all touch meant pain. "Thank you," Sam said quietly. "For what?" "For being brave enough to come here. For trusting me when you had no reason to. For giving me a chance to do better this time." Beatrice squeezed his hand. "We're giving each other a chance. That's what this is." They sat there in the lamplight, hands clasped, two damaged people trying to figure out how to heal together. And when Beatrice finally stood to leave, Sam didn't try to stop her. He just held her hand until the last possible moment, then let her go. The next morning brought a visitor. Beatrice was in the kitchen when she heard the sound of a horse approaching. She looked out the window and saw a man dismounting, older, heavyset, wearing a badge on his chest. Sam came out of the barn, wiping his hands on his pants. The two men spoke for several minutes, and Beatrice saw Sam's posture change. His shoulders went rigid, his hands curled into fists. Something was wrong. She stepped out onto the porch just as the sheriff was riding away. Sam stood in the yard staring after him, his face pale. "Sam, what happened?" He turned to her slowly. "Edwin's dead." Beatrice felt the world tilt. "What?" "The sheriff just got a wire from Boston. Edwin Daniels died 3 days ago. Fell down the stairs. Broke his neck." The irony was so bitter Beatrice could taste it. "Just like Clara." Just like Clara. They stared at each other, and Beatrice realized she should feel something: relief, grief, guilt, but all she felt was numb. "He's really gone. He's really gone. I should be happy. Why am I not happy?" Sam crossed the distance between them and pulled her into his arms. Beatrice stiffened for just a second, then collapsed against his chest, her whole body shaking. Not with tears, with laughter. "It's okay," Sam murmured into her hair. "Whatever you're feeling, it's okay." "I'm laughing," she gasped. "Why am I laughing?" "Because you're free. Because he can't hurt you anymore. Because you survived him." Beatrice laughed until she cried, and then she cried until she had nothing left. And through it all, Sam held her steady, his arms strong and sure, his heart beating against her cheek. When she finally pulled away, her face was blotchy and her eyes were red. "I must look terrible." "You look alive," Sam said. "That's all that matters." She touched his chest right over his heart. "Thank you for this, for letting me—" "You don't have to thank me for basic human decency, B." "But so few people offer it." Sam covered her hand with his own. "Then they're fools." That afternoon, Beatrice went through her things and found the one photograph she had of her parents. They stared out at her from behind the glass. Her father's stern face, her mother's gentle smile, and she felt the grief she'd been holding back for so long finally break free. She cried for them, for the life they'd wanted for her, for the years Edwin had stolen, for the woman she might have been if things had been different. And when Sam found her an hour later still clutching the photograph, he didn't ask questions. He just sat down beside her and waited until she was ready to speak. "They would have liked you," she finally said. "You think so? My father valued hard work and honesty. My mother valued kindness. You have all of that." Sam took the photograph from her hands and studied it. "You have her smile. I haven't smiled much in the past 2 years. You're smiling more now." Beatrice looked at him, really looked at him, and realized it was true. "Yes, I am." That evening, Sam suggested they go into town the next day. "You need to meet people. Start building a life here that's yours, not just mine. Beatrice's stomach clenched. I'm not ready for that. Yes, you are. You just don't know it yet. Sam? 1 hour. We'll go to the general store, pick up supplies, maybe stop by the post office. That's it. I'll be with you the whole time. She wanted to refuse. The thought of facing strangers, of enduring their questions and judgments, made her skin crawl. But Sam was looking at her with such gentle insistence that she found herself nodding. 1 hour, she agreed. And if I want to leave, we leave, no questions asked. The next morning, Beatrice changed her dress 3 times before settling on a simple green calico. She braided her hair, pinned it up, and stared at her reflection. The bruises had faded to nothing now. On the outside, she looked whole, normal. The ride into Julesburg took 30 minutes, and with every mile, Beatrice's anxiety grew. Sam must have sensed it, because he reached over and squeezed her hand. Breathe, he said. Just breathe. What if they ask questions? What if they want to know about Boston, about Edwin? You tell them as much or as little as you want, and if anyone pushes, I'll handle it. The town was small, one main street with a handful of buildings on each side. The general store stood at the center, and Sam tied the horses outside. Beatrice climbed down before he could help her, needing to do something for herself. Inside, a woman stood behind the counter, 50-ish, sharp eyes, gray hair pulled back in a severe bun. She looked up when the bell rang and smiled. Sam Osborne, haven't seen you in weeks. Mrs. Patterson, how are you? Can't complain. Who's this? Sam placed his hand on the small of Beatrice's back. This is my wife Beatrice. This is Mrs. Patterson. She runs the store. Mrs. Patterson's eyebrows shot up. Wife Sam, you devil, when did this happen? 2 weeks ago. And you didn't invite anyone to the wedding. We kept it simple, just the 2 of us, and a circuit judge. Mrs. Patterson came around the counter, studying Beatrice like a specimen under glass. Well, aren't you a pretty thing? Where are you from, dear? Boston, Beatrice managed. Boston. My goodness, that's quite a change from Colorado. What brought you all the way out here? Beatrice felt her throat close. Sam's hand pressed more firmly against her back. Same thing that brings most people west, Sam said smoothly. A fresh start. Mrs. Patterson's eyes narrowed slightly, but she smiled. Well, welcome to Julesburg, Mrs. Osborne. I hope you'll be very happy here. Thank you, Beatrice whispered. They gathered supplies, flour, sugar, coffee, salt, and Mrs. Patterson kept up a steady stream of chatter. Who was getting married? Who was sick? Who had cattle stolen last month? Small-town gossip that washed over Beatrice like white noise. When they left the store, Beatrice felt like she'd run a mile uphill. That was exhausting. You did fine. She didn't believe us. Sam loaded the supplies into the wagon. She doesn't have to believe us. She just has to accept it. What's the difference? Belief requires proof. Acceptance just requires time. They were about to leave when a man called out from across the street. Osborne, hold up! Sam's whole body went tense. Beatrice turned to see a tall man approaching mid-30s, well-dressed, expensive boots. He had the kind of face that might have been handsome if not for the cruelty around his mouth. Mr. Garrett, Sam said flatly. Beatrice felt ice flood her veins. Garrett. Thomas Garrett. Clara's husband. I heard you'd gotten married? Thomas set his eyes sliding over Beatrice with an assessment that made her skin crawl. Didn't waste any time, did you? What do you want, Thomas? Just being neighborly. Wanted to welcome your new bride to the area. He extended his hand to Beatrice. Thomas Garrett, I'm sure Sam's mentioned me. Beatrice didn't take his hand. He has. Thomas's smile didn't waver, but his eyes went cold. All good things, I hope. No, Beatrice said. Not good things at all. Sam stepped between them. We're leaving. Now. No need to be rude. I was married to your sister Sam. That makes us family. You killed my sister. That makes us enemies." The words dropped like stones. Thomas's face hardened. "Careful, Osborne. Making accusations like that could get you in trouble. It's not an accusation. It's a fact. And if you ever come near my wife, if you so much as look at her wrong, I'll finish what I should have finished 3 years ago." Thomas laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Still playing the hero. How'd that work out for Clara?" Sam's fist connected with Thomas's jaw before Beatrice could blink. Thomas stumbled back, blood streaming from his split lip, and Sam advanced on him. "Say her name again," Sam growled. "I dare you." "Sam, stop!" Beatrice grabbed his arm. "He's not worth it." "Listen to your wife, Osborne," Thomas said, wiping blood from his mouth. "She's smarter than Clara was." Sam lunged again, but Beatrice held him back with surprising strength. "No, that's what he wants. Don't give it to him." Sam was shaking with rage, every muscle in his body coiled tight. But he didn't move. He just stared at Thomas with murder in his eyes. Thomas straightened his collar, still smiling that awful smile. "Welcome to Julesburg, Mrs. Osborne. I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot of each other." Then he walked away, and Sam stood there breathing hard, his hands still clenched into fists. "Get in the wagon," he said through gritted teeth. Beatrice didn't argue. She climbed up, and Sam followed, snapping the reins harder than necessary. They rode in tense silence for 10 minutes before Beatrice spoke. "You should have let me tell him off properly." Sam looked at her in surprise. "What?" "I've dealt with men like him before. They feed on anger. You give them that, you give them power. He killed Clara." "I know. And hitting him won't bring her back. It'll just give him ammunition to use against you." Sam's jaw worked. "I can't stand to look at him. Can't stand to hear him breathe. He walks around free while Clara's in the ground, and nobody cares. Nobody even questions it." "I care," Beatrice said quietly. "And I believe you." Sam pulled the wagon to a stop right there in the middle of the road. He turned to face her fully. "You do." "Of course I do. I know what men like that are capable of. I lived with one, remember? Edwin never killed anyone. Not that I know of. But give him enough time, enough control, he would have." Beatrice reached out and touched Sam's hand. "Thomas Garrett is dangerous, Sam. You need to be careful around him." "I'm not afraid of him." "Maybe you should be. Not for yourself. For me." The words hit him like a slap. If something happened to you because you were defending Clara's honor, where would that leave me alone on a ranch? I can't run by myself, vulnerable to men like Thomas who'd see me as easy prey. She held his gaze. "I need you alive, Sam. More than I need you to be Clara's avenger." Sam stared at her for a long moment, and then he pulled her into his arms. Beatrice went rigid for just a second before forcing herself to relax. This was Sam. Sam who'd never hurt her. Sam who'd shown her nothing but kindness and patience. "I'm sorry," he murmured into her hair. "You're right. I let him get to me. He's very good at that, I imagine. Too good." Sam pulled back his hands on her shoulders. "I promise I'll be more careful. I won't let my anger put you at risk." "Good. Because I've survived too much to lose everything now." They finished the ride home in silence, but it was a different kind of silence. Comfortable. Connected. When they arrived at the ranch, Sam helped her down from the wagon, and this time Beatrice didn't pull away when his hands lingered on her waist. "Thank you," he said. "For what?" "For stopping me from doing something stupid. For understanding why I wanted to." Beatrice touched his face, her fingers gentle against his jaw. "We both carry ghosts, Sam, but we can't let them turn us into the people who hurt us." Sam covered her hand with his own. "When did you get so wise? Pain teaches lessons. I've had plenty of teachers." That night after dinner, they sat together in the living room, Sam in one chair reading his book, Beatrice in the other, mending a tear in one of his shirts. It was domestic, peaceful, and completely surreal. 2 weeks ago, she'd been terrified of this man. Now she felt safer with him than she'd felt anywhere in years. "Sam," she said, breaking the silence. When you said this could be a real marriage, if I wanted, did you mean that?" His head came up slowly. "Yes." "What would that look like, a real marriage?" Sam closed his book. "I don't know. I've never had one." "Neither have I. Not really. Marriage to Edwin was just another form of imprisonment." "Then we'd figure it out together. Make it whatever we need it to be." Beatrice set down her mending. "What do you need it to be?" "Honest. Partnership. Two people who trust each other and work together." He paused. "What do you need?" "Safety. Respect. Someone who sees me as an equal, not property." "You have all of that already." "I know, but Sam—" She took a breath. "A real marriage involves more than just partnership." Understanding dawned on his face. We don't have to." "I know we don't have to. But someday maybe I'll want to. And I need to know if you—" She couldn't finish the sentence. Sam stood and crossed to her chair, kneeling in front of her so they were eye level. "I need you to hear this. Really hear it. I'm attracted to you. I have been since the moment you stepped off that stagecoach. But I will never, ever push you for anything you're not ready to give. If you want a marriage in name only for the rest of our lives, I'll accept that. If you want more someday, we'll take it slow, at your pace. Always your pace." Beatrice felt tears sting her eyes. "You're attracted to me." "How could I not be? You're beautiful, smart, funny when you let yourself be. You're strong in ways you don't even realize." "I'm damaged." "So am I. We can be damaged together." She laughed through her tears. "That's the worst romantic statement I've ever heard." "I'm not very good at this," Sam admitted. "Neither am I. We're quite a pair. The worst pair in Colorado, probably." Beatrice reached out and cupped his face in both hands. "Thank you for being patient with me. Thank you for giving me a reason to try." They stayed like that for a moment, and then Beatrice did something brave. She leaned forward and pressed her lips to his forehead. It was chaste, gentle, and it lasted all of 3 seconds. But when she pulled back, Sam's eyes were closed, and his expression was one of pure reverence. He whispered. "Small steps," she said. "That's all I can manage right now." Small steps are enough. More than enough. The next few days passed in a haze of growing comfort. Beatrice worked alongside Sam in the fields, learning the rhythm of ranch life. She cooked meals they ate together. They talked about everything and nothing. And slowly, incrementally, she found herself touching him more. A hand on his arm, a brush of fingers, small gestures that would mean nothing to anyone else, but meant everything to them. On the 4th day after the incident with Thomas, a letter arrived. The postman delivered it personally, riding all the way out to the ranch. Sam signed for it and brought it inside. "It's from Boston," he said, handing it to Beatrice. Her hands trembled as she opened it. Inside was a letter from a lawyer and a bank draft for $5,000. "What is it?" Sam asked. Beatrice read the letter once, then twice, unable to believe what she was seeing. "Edwin's will. He left me everything. The house, his accounts, his business holdings. All of it." Sam's eyebrows shot up. $5,000. Plus the property in Boston, probably worth another $10,000. "My God, B, you're wealthy." She stared at the bank draft, feeling nothing but cold fury. This is guilt money, his way of admitting what he did without actually having to say the words. Or maybe he did care about you in his twisted way. He had a funny way of showing it. Beatrice crumpled the letter in her fist. "I don't want it. I don't want anything from him." "B, that money could change your life. You could leave here, go anywhere, do anything." She looked up sharply. "Do you want me to leave?" "No, God, no. But you have the means now. You're not trapped here." "I was never trapped here," Beatrice said. I chose this. I chose you. Sam's expression softened. Even so, you have options now. Real options. Beatrice thought for a moment, then made a decision. I want to invest it in the ranch. Buy more cattle, improve the property, maybe hire a hand to help you so you're not working yourself to death. You want to invest your inheritance in my ranch. Our ranch, she corrected. I'm your wife, remember. What's mine is yours. I can't let you do that. Why not? It's my money. I can do what I want with it. Because if things don't work out between us, then we'll figure it out. Sam, I'm not planning on things not working out, are you? He shook his head slowly. No, but I don't want you to feel obligated. I don't feel obligated. I feel invested. There's a difference. She stood and crossed to him. This ranch is our future. Our life together. I want to build it with you. Sam pulled her into his arms, and this time Beatrice didn't tense at all. She melted into him, her head against his chest, his heartbeat steady in her ear. You're something else, you know that, he murmured. I'm learning to be. They stood like that for several minutes before Sam spoke again. There's something I want to show you. Upstairs. Beatrice pulled back. What? The room at the end of the hall. The one I said was storage. Her heart started racing. Sam, you don't have to. I do. If we're going to build a future together, you need to know all of me. Not just the parts I'm comfortable showing. He took her hand and led her upstairs. At the door to the third bedroom, he paused. It's not what you think. Then he opened the door. The room was full of baby things. A cradle, a rocking chair, tiny clothes folded in a trunk, toys lined up on a shelf. Everything covered in a thin layer of dust, but clearly preserved with care. Beatrice's breath caught. Sam. Clara was pregnant when she died, he said quietly. 3 months along. She'd asked me to build her a cradle, so I did. Sent it to her a week before she fell down those stairs. His voice broke. Thomas sent it back to me after the funeral. Said he had no use for it anymore. Beatrice pressed her hand to her mouth. Oh, Sam, I'm so sorry. I couldn't get rid of it. Couldn't sell it or burn it or donate it. So I just closed the door and pretended it didn't exist. He looked at her with red-rimmed eyes. But it does exist. She existed. And so did her baby. Beatrice turned to him and wrapped her arms around him. Sam buried his face in her shoulder and shook with silent sobs. She held him tight, this strong man who'd carried so much grief for so long, and let him finally break. It's not your fault, she whispered. None of it was your fault. I should have tried harder. Should have forced her to leave, should have... She made her choice. You can't blame yourself for respecting it. But the baby never had a chance. That's on Thomas, not you. Sam pulled back, wiping his eyes roughly. I'm sorry. You shouldn't have to deal with this. Yes, I should. We're partners, remember? Your pain is mine now, just like mine is yours. He touched her face with trembling fingers. How did I get so lucky? Lucky Sam, we're two broken people trying to patch each other back together. Then we're the luckiest broken people in Colorado. Beatrice managed a smile. What do you want to do with this room? Sam looked around at the baby things, the memories, the what might have beens. I don't know. What do you think we should do? I think we should keep the cradle, put it in storage somewhere safe, and turn this room into something else. Something for us, for our future, whatever that looks like. You'd be okay with that? I think Clara would want us to move forward. Don't you? Sam nodded slowly. Yeah, I think she would. They closed the door on the nursery and walked back downstairs hand in hand. That evening they sat on the porch watching the sunset. And for the first time since arriving in Colorado, Beatrice felt something she'd almost forgotten existed. Peace. The peace lasted exactly 3 days. On the morning of the 4th day, Sam came in from the barn with blood on his shirt and murder in his eyes. "What happened?" Beatrice demanded. "Someone cut the fence on the north pasture. 20 head of cattle are gone." "Gone? You mean stolen?" "I mean gone. Driven off, scattered, or stolen. Won't know until I track them." Sam grabbed his rifle from above the door. "I'm riding out." "Not alone, you're not." He turned to her. This could be dangerous." "Then you definitely shouldn't go alone." She was already untying her apron. "I can ride. I can shoot. And I'm not letting you walk into a trap by yourself. This isn't your fight. Everything that affects this ranch is my fight now. Remember partnership." Sam stared at her for a long moment, then nodded. "Get your coat and the small pistol from my desk drawer." 20 minutes later, they were riding hard toward the north pasture. When they reached the cut fence, Sam dismounted and examined the wire. Clean cuts. Someone knew what they were doing. "Thomas?" Beatrice asked. "That'd be my guess, but I need proof before I can accuse him." They followed the trail of disturbed grass and hoof prints for over an hour. The sun climbed higher, beating down on them mercilessly. Beatrice's back ached and her legs burned, but she didn't complain. Sam needed her focused, not whining. They found the cattle in a ravine 2 miles from the property line. All 20 head milling around nervously but alive and unharmed. They were just scattered. Sam said, relief evident in his voice. "Not stolen. Someone wanted to cause trouble, not profit." "That makes it worse somehow," Beatrice said. "Stealing is business. This is just cruelty. Thomas's specialty." They spent the next 3 hours rounding up the cattle and driving them back toward the ranch. It was exhausting, frustrating work. More than once, Beatrice wanted to scream. But she kept her composure, kept working, kept proving to Sam that she was capable. When they finally got the herd back through the repaired fence, Sam turned to her with something like awe on his face. "You were incredible today." Beatrice wiped sweat from her forehead. "I was adequate at best." "You didn't complain once. You worked as hard as any ranch hand I've ever hired. You—" He stopped, searching for words. "You're not what I expected when I sent for a mail-order bride." "What did you expect?" "Someone who needed rescuing, someone fragile." "I am fragile," Beatrice said. "Just not in the ways you thought." Sam reached out and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. The gesture was so tender it made her chest ache. "You're the strongest person I know." "Don't say that. I'll disappoint you." "Not possible." They stood there dusty and exhausted, and Beatrice felt something shift inside her. Something that had been locked tight for so long finally started to open. "Sam, She stopped, unsure how to continue. "What?" "I think I'm starting to feel something for you. Something more than gratitude or partnership." Sam went very still. "I'm terrified," she admitted. "Because every time I've cared about someone, they've hurt me. My parents died. Edwin betrayed me. I don't know if I can survive being hurt again." "Then don't care about me," Sam said quietly. "Keep yourself safe. I'll understand." "That's the problem. I can't not care anymore. You've made it impossible." Sam cupped her face in both hands. "I'm going to make you a promise right now, and I need you to believe me. I will never deliberately hurt you. I will never raise my hand to you. I will never use your trust as a weapon, and if I ever break those promises, I give you permission to shoot me where I stand." Beatrice laughed wetly. "That's a terrible romantic gesture." "I'm terrible at romantic gestures." "No," she said, covering his hands with hers. "You're actually quite good at them. You just don't realize it." They rode back to the house in silence, but it was charged with something new. Possibility. Hope. Something that felt dangerously close to love. That evening, as Beatrice prepared dinner, Sam came up behind her at the stove. "Can I help?" he asked. You can set the table." But instead of moving away, he stayed close. Close enough that she could feel the heat radiating from his body. Close enough that when she turned, they were almost chest to chest. "Sam," she whispered, "tell me to move and I will." She should tell him to move, should maintain the safe distance they'd established. But she didn't want safe anymore. She wanted real. "Don't move," she said. Sam's breath caught. Slowly giving her time to pull away, he lowered his head and pressed his lips to hers. The kiss was gentle questioning and lasted all of 5 seconds before Beatrice jerked back, her heart racing. "I'm sorry," Sam said immediately. "I shouldn't have—" No, it's not you." Beatrice pressed her hand to her chest, trying to calm her breathing. It's been a long time since anyone kissed me who didn't follow it with violence." Sam's face darkened. "Edwin. He used to kiss me before he hit me. Said it made the bruises hurt less if they came from love." She laughed bitterly. As if what he did had anything to do with love. Look at me." She met his eyes. "I'm not Edwin. I'm not Thomas. I'm not any man who's ever hurt you. I'm just Sam. And I'm begging for the chance to show you what a kiss should feel like, what it should mean, but only if you want that. Only if you're ready." Beatrice stood there, her whole body trembling, and made a choice. "Kiss me again. Please." This time, when Sam's lips met hers, she didn't pull away. She leaned into it, let herself feel the gentleness, the care, the absolute lack of threat. His hands stayed on her face, never wandering, never grabbing. The kiss deepened slightly, and Beatrice felt something warm unfurl in her chest. When they finally broke apart, she was crying. "Did I hurt you?" Sam asked, alarmed. "No. God, no. That's why I'm crying. You didn't hurt me." Sam wiped her tears with his thumbs. "Good. That's good." They ate dinner in a daze, neither quite able to believe what had just happened. Afterward, they sat together on the porch again, and Beatrice rested her head on Sam's shoulder. "Tell me about your dreams," she said. "My dreams. For the ranch, for the future. What do you want this place to become?" Sam was quiet for a moment. "I want it to be successful enough that I never have to worry about losing it. I want good cattle, strong horses, land that produces. But more than that," he paused, "I want it to be a home, a real home, with laughter and warmth and people who love each other." "That sounds perfect. What about you? What do you dream about?" Beatrice thought carefully. "I dream about feeling safe, about waking up without fear, about building something that's mine, ours, that nobody can take away." She lifted her head to look at him. "I dream about having children someday. Not right away, but someday. When I'm ready." Sam's eyes widened. "You want children?" "Don't you? I did once, before Clara died. After that I thought—" He stopped. "I thought I didn't deserve them, that I'd fail them like I failed her." "You didn't fail Clara. My head knows that. My heart's still working on believing it." Beatrice took his hand. "Then we'll work on it together." The next morning brought another visitor. This time it was the sheriff, and his face was grim. "Sam, Beatrice, got some news from town you need to hear." Sam stepped out onto the porch. "What is it?" "Thomas Garrett's ranch was hit last night. Someone burned down his barn. Killed 3 horses. Beatrice felt sick. "That's horrible." "It is. And Thomas is claiming you did it, Sam." Sam's face went pale. "That's a damn lie." "I know it probably is. But Thomas has witnesses who say they saw you in town yesterday afternoon making threats. I haven't been to town in 4 days, and I sure as hell didn't burn his barn." The sheriff nodded. "That's what I figured. But I need to ask, where were you last night between midnight and 3 in the morning? Here, in bed, asleep. Can anyone verify that?" Sam looked at Beatrice, and she saw the trap closing around them. They slept in separate rooms. She couldn't alibi him without lying, but she could lie. "I can verify it," Beatrice said firmly. "Sam was with me all night." The sheriff's eyebrows rose. "You're sure about that, ma'am?" "Completely sure. We were together from 10 o'clock until dawn." Sam's head snapped toward her, shock written all over his face, but he didn't contradict her. The sheriff studied them both for a long moment. "All right, that's good enough for me, but Thomas isn't going to drop this easily. He wants blood." "Let him want," Beatrice said coldly. "He won't get it from us." After the sheriff left, Sam turned to her. "B, you just lied to a lawman." "I know. If he finds out, he won't, because we're going to make it true from now on." Sam blinked. "What?" "We're married, Sam. People expect us to share a bed. And if we do, then I wasn't lying. I was just anticipating the truth." "You want to—" He couldn't finish the sentence. "I want to sleep in the same room as you. Not necessarily the same bed, not yet. But the same room. So we can protect each other. So I can prove to Thomas and everyone else that you have an alibi." She stepped closer. "And maybe because I'm tired of sleeping alone." Sam looked like he had been hit with a plank. "Are you sure?" "No, but I'm willing to try." That night they moved Beatrice's things into Sam's room. He insisted on taking the floor, giving her the bed, but Beatrice refused. "We can share the bed, just sleeping, nothing else unless I say otherwise." "B. Sam, I trust you. I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't." They lay down together, both rigid as boards, careful not to touch. Beatrice stared at the ceiling, her heart racing, wondering if she'd made a terrible mistake. "Thank you," Sam said into the darkness. "For what?" "For trusting me. For lying to the sheriff to protect me. For being braver than I am." Beatrice rolled onto her side to face him. "I'm not brave. I'm terrified." "Then we're terrified together." She reached out in the darkness and found his hand. "Together. I like the sound of that." They fell asleep holding hands, and for the first time in years, Beatrice didn't have nightmares. The next week passed in a blur of adjustment. They developed a routine, working together during the day, eating meals together, sitting on the porch in the evenings, sleeping in the same room at night. Beatrice found herself relaxing more with each passing day, laughing, more, touching Sam more freely. But Thomas wasn't done causing trouble. The attacks started small. A broken fence here, scattered livestock there, tools stolen from the barn. Sam started sleeping with his rifle next to the bed, and Beatrice kept the pistol under her pillow. "He's trying to provoke you," Beatrice said after the third incident. "Trying to make you do something stupid so he can have you arrested." "It's working. I want to ride over there and nothing. That's exactly what he wants." Sam slammed his fist on the table. "I can't just sit here and let him destroy everything we're building." "We're not sitting here. We're being smart. We're documenting everything, telling the sheriff, making sure everyone knows what he's doing. And when that's not enough, when he escalates." Beatrice didn't have an answer for that. The escalation came 2 days later. Beatrice was in the garden when she heard Sam shout her name. She ran to the barn and found him holding one of their horses, a beautiful mare named Daisy who was limping badly. "Someone cut her tendon," Sam said, his voice shaking with rage. "She'll never run again. Probably can't even be ridden." Beatrice knelt beside the horse, examining the clean slice across the back of her leg. "This was deliberate. This was Thomas, and I'm going to kill him." "No, you're not." "B, he crossed a line. He hurt an innocent animal just to get at me." "I know, and we're going to make him pay for it, but legally, properly. The law doesn't care about a crippled horse. Then we make them care." Beatrice stood, her mind racing. "The inheritance money from Edwin, we're going to use it." "For what?" "We're going to hire the best lawyer in Denver. We're going to build a case against Thomas for Clara's death. Find evidence, interview witnesses, prove what he did. Sam stared at her. You want to go after him in court? I want to destroy him the way he's destroyed so many others. I want justice for Clara, for her baby, for every woman he's ever hurt. Her eyes blazed. And I want him to know it was us who brought him down. Sam pulled her into his arms. You're magnificent. I'm angry. There's a difference. No. You're both. And I love you for it. The words hung in the air between them. Sam's eyes went wide, realizing what he'd said. Sam, I did mean it, but I didn't mean to say it out loud. He stepped back, running his hand through his hair. Forget I said anything. I can't forget it. You said you love me. I shouldn't have. It's too soon, you're not ready. I'm pushing too hard. Beatrice grabbed his shirt and pulled him down to her level. Shut up and listen. I don't know if I love you yet. I don't even know what love feels like anymore. But I know I care about you. I know I trust you. And I know that when I think about my future, you're in every single version of it. So maybe that is love. Or maybe it's something that will become love if we give it time. Sam's hands came up to frame her face. I can wait. I'll wait as long as you need. What if I don't want you to wait? Beatrice whispered. What if I want to try? Really try to make this a real marriage in every way? B, are you saying? I'm saying I want to be your wife. Completely. But I need you to be patient with me. I need you to understand that some nights I'll pull away. Some nights I'll wake up screaming. Some nights I'll need space. I can do that. I can be patient. Then kiss me like you mean it. Sam did. And this time when his lips met hers, Beatrice didn't flinch. She kissed him back with everything she had, pouring 3 weeks of growing trust and affection into the gesture. Sam's arms wrapped around her waist, pulling her close, and she melted into him. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Sam rested his forehead against hers. I meant what I said. I love you. I know. And someday soon, I hope I'll be able to say it back. Someday is enough for me. That night, for the first time, Beatrice initiated physical contact. As they lay in bed, she rolled toward Sam and placed her hand on his chest right over his heart. Is this okay? She asked. More than okay. She felt his heartbeat under her palm, steady, strong, alive. Tell me about your parents. My parents. I want to know where you came from. What made you the man you are? Sam was quiet for a moment. My father was a rancher. Worked himself to death trying to make a success of this place. He was good to us, me and Clara, but hard. Expected a lot. When he died, I was 19. The ranch was barely profitable, and I had to figure out how to keep it going while taking care of a 15-year-old sister. What about your mother? She died giving birth to Clara. Never knew her. Beatrice's heart broke. So you raised Clara? Tried to. Did my best. Obviously it wasn't good enough. Stop, Beatrice said firmly. You did everything you could. Clara made her own choices. Thomas made his. None of that is on you. Sam turned his head to look at her. How do you do that? Do what? Make me believe things I've never been able to believe about myself. Because I see you clearly, without the guilt and self-blame clouding the view. Sam rolled onto his side, mirroring her position. What do you see? I see a man who works hard, who keeps his promises, who's gentle even when he has every reason to be cruel, who makes me feel safe for the first time in years. That's all I want to be for you, your safe place. Beatrice moved closer, closing the gap between them. You already are. They fell asleep wrapped around each other, and when Beatrice woke in the middle of the night to Sam's arms around her, she didn't panic. She just closed her eyes and let herself be held. The next morning, Sam rode into town and sent a telegram to a lawyer in Denver. By afternoon, he had a response. The lawyer would come to Julesburg in 2 weeks to discuss the case. He says if we have evidence, he can help, Sam told Beatrice. But we need witnesses. People who saw Thomas's violence. People who'll testify. Then we start looking for them. Clara can't be the only woman he hurt. They spent the next week quietly investigating. Beatrice made trips to town, befriending the local women, listening for gossip. Sam talked to the men, asking careful questions about Thomas's reputation. What they found was damning. 3 other women had left Thomas's employment under mysterious circumstances. One had disappeared entirely. 2 others had been seen with unexplained injuries, but getting them to talk was another matter entirely. "They're afraid," Beatrice said after her 4th failed attempt at an interview. "They think he'll retaliate." "He probably will. That's why we need the law on our side." The law protected him before. Why would it be different now? Sam pulled out the bank draft from Edwin's estate. "Because now we have money, and money talks louder than fear." That's cynical. That's reality. When the lawyer arrived 2 weeks later, they presented him with everything they'd found. He listened carefully, took notes, and finally sat back in his chair. "You have a circumstantial case at best," he said, "but it's better than nothing. If we can get one witness, just one, to testify about Thomas's violence, I can build a case for manslaughter in Clara's death." "What do you need from us?" Sam asked. "Time, money, and patience. This could take months, maybe longer." "We have all 3, Beatrice said firmly. The lawyer smiled. "Then we have a chance." The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. 3 weeks after hiring the lawyer, a young woman appeared at their door. She was maybe 20, thin as a rail with haunted eyes that Beatrice recognized immediately. "My name is Margaret Price," she said. "I heard you're looking for people who knew Thomas Garrett, people he hurt." Beatrice pulled her inside. "Come in, please." Sam appeared from the barn, and Margaret flinched at the sight of him. "It's all right," Beatrice said quickly. "This is my husband. He won't hurt you." Margaret nodded, but kept her distance from Sam. They sat at the kitchen table, and Beatrice poured coffee with shaking hands. "Tell us what happened," Sam said gently. "I worked for Mr. Garrett 2 years ago, as a housemaid. He was always—" She stopped, her hands trembling around the cup. "He'd come into my room at night, touch me, say things. I told his wife, but she didn't believe me, said I was trying to cause trouble." Beatrice's blood ran cold. "His wife. He remarried 6 months after Clara died." Sam said, his voice hollow. "A woman from Denver. Young, barely 21. "Her name is Elizabeth," Margaret continued. "She's nice enough, but she doesn't see what he really is. Or maybe she does, and she's too scared to leave." "What made you finally come forward?" Beatrice asked. Margaret met her eyes. "I heard what you're trying to do. And I thought if someone had fought for me back then, maybe I wouldn't still wake up screaming." She took a shaky breath. "I'll testify. I'll tell everything, but I need you to promise me something." "Anything," Sam said. "When this is over, when he's locked up or dead or whatever happens, you find Elizabeth and you get her out. Don't let her become another Clara." Beatrice reached across the table and took Margaret's hand. "I promise. We'll get her out." With Margaret's testimony, the case began to take shape. The lawyer found 2 more women willing to talk. One had been Thomas's neighbor in Denver. The other had been Clara's best friend and had witnessed bruises Clara tried to hide. "We have enough to bring charges," the lawyer said. "But I need to warn you, Thomas has money and connections. This won't be easy." "Nothing worth doing is," Sam said. The trial was set for 6 weeks out. In the meantime, Thomas escalated his attacks on the ranch. Fences cut almost nightly. Cattle spooked and scattered. One morning they found poison in the water trough. "He's trying to break us before the trial," Beatrice said, staring at the dead grass around the trough. "He won't. We're too strong." "Are we, Sam? We're exhausted. We can barely keep up with the repairs. And if he poisons the cattle, then we'll start over. But we won't give up." Beatrice wanted to believe him, but she could see the toll this was taking, the dark circles under Sam's eyes, the tension in his shoulders, the way his hand automatically went to his rifle every time he heard a sound. That night she made a decision. "I'm going to talk to Elizabeth," she announced. Sam looked up from the ledger he was updating. "What? No, absolutely not. Someone has to warn her. Someone has to give her a chance to escape before this all comes crashing down. And if Thomas finds out, if he hurts you—" "He won't. I'll be careful. B. I can't lose you. Not now. Not when—" He stopped, unable to finish. She crossed to him and cupped his face in her hands. "You're not going to lose me. But I have to do this. For Clara. For Elizabeth. For every woman who never got the chance to escape." Sam closed his eyes. "You're going to give me a heart attack one of these days." "Probably. But you'll die knowing I loved you." His eyes snapped open. "What did you say?" Beatrice smiled. "I said I love you, Sam Osborne. I've been too scared to say it, but I do. I love you." Sam pulled her into his lap and kissed her with such fierce tenderness that Beatrice felt tears stream down her face. When they broke apart, he rested his forehead against hers. "Say it again," he whispered. "I love you." "Again." "I love you. I love you. I love you." Sam laughed, the sound bright and free. "I've been waiting so long to hear that." "I know. I'm sorry it took me—" "Don't apologize. It was worth the wait." They sat there holding each other, and Beatrice felt something she'd never experienced before. Complete, absolute certainty. This man, this life, this love, it was hers. And nothing, not even Thomas Garrett, could take it away. The next day, Beatrice rode into town alone. She found Elizabeth Garrett in the mercantile examining fabric with a distracted air. Up close, she was beautiful blonde, delicate, with the kind of face men wrote poems about. She also had a fading bruise on her left wrist. "Mrs. Garrett." Beatrice approached carefully. Elizabeth turned her smile automatic and empty. "Yes? Do I know you?" "I'm Beatrice Osborne, Sam Osborne's wife." The smile froze. "I see. My husband has mentioned you." "I'm sure he has. May I speak with you privately?" "I don't think that's—" "Please, it's important. It's about Clara." Elizabeth's face went pale. She glanced around nervously, then nodded. "There's a bench behind the church. Meet me there in 10 minutes. Beatrice waited, her heart pounding. When Elizabeth finally appeared, she looked like a woman walking to her own execution. "I shouldn't be talking to you," Elizabeth said, sitting as far from Beatrice as the bench allowed. "I know, but I need you to listen. Really listen. If this is about the trial, it's about your life, your safety, your future." Elizabeth laughed bitterly. "You don't know anything about my life." "I know you're married to a man who hurts you. I can see the bruise on your wrist. I'm guessing there are more under your dress." Elizabeth pulled her sleeve down. "You're mistaken. I'm not, and neither was Clara. Thomas killed her, Elizabeth. You know it, I know it, and soon a court will know it too." "That's a lie. Clara fell. Clara was pushed, or beaten, or thrown down those stairs. However it happened, Thomas made it happen. And if you stay with him, you'll end up just like her." Elizabeth stood abruptly. "I need to go." "Wait!" Beatrice grabbed her arm gently. "I was you 6 months ago. I was married to a man who beat me, who controlled me, who made me believe I deserved every hit. I thought I had no choice, no way out. But I was wrong. And so are you." Elizabeth's eyes filled with tears. "Where would I even go? I have no family, no money. You come to us, to me and Sam. We'll protect you. We'll help you start over." "Thomas would never let me leave. Thomas is going to prison. And when he does, you'll be free. But you have to be ready. You have to be willing to save yourself." Elizabeth sank back onto the bench, her whole body shaking. "I thought I could change him. I thought if I was good enough, quiet enough, perfect enough, it wouldn't have mattered. Men like Thomas don't change. They just find new victims. Did your husband change? He wasn't my husband. He was my cousin. And no, he didn't change. He died. Fell down the stairs, actually. The irony isn't lost on me. Elizabeth looked at her with something like hope. How did you survive it? How did you keep going? I found someone who showed me what love should look like. Someone who was patient and kind and never raised his hand to me. Someone who made me believe I deserved better. Beatrice smiled. And then I let myself have it. Elizabeth wiped her eyes. I don't know if I'm that brave. You're braver than you think. You're talking to me right now, aren't you? That takes courage. What do you need from me? Nothing. Just think about what I said. And when the trial happens, if you're willing, tell the truth. That's all. Elizabeth nodded slowly. I'll think about it. They parted ways, and Beatrice rode home feeling like she'd just fought a battle. When she told Sam what she'd done, he pulled her into his arms. You're incredible. You know that I'm just doing what someone should have done for me. The weeks leading up to the trial passed in a blur of preparation and anxiety. The lawyer drilled the witnesses. Sam and Beatrice fortified the ranch as best they could. And every night they fell into bed exhausted, but together. One evening, 2 days before the trial, Sam disappeared into the barn for over an hour. When he came back, he was carrying a small wooden box. I have something for you, he said. Beatrice set down her sewing. What is it? Sam sat beside her and opened the box. Inside, nestled in silk, was the most beautiful silver hairbrush Beatrice had ever seen. It was ornate, delicate, with roses etched into the handle. It was my mother's, Sam said quietly. The only thing of hers I have. My father gave it to her on their wedding day. Beatrice's hands trembled as she touched it. Sam, I can't. Yes, you can. You're my wife, my real wife in every way that matters. And I want you to have it. But this is a family heirloom. What if I lose it? What if... Then we'll find it. Or we won't. But either way, it belongs with you now. He took the brush and gently removed the pins from her hair, letting it fall around her shoulders. Then slowly, reverently, he brushed her hair with long, steady strokes. Beatrice closed her eyes, feeling tears slip down her cheeks. No one had brushed her hair since her mother died. The gesture was so intimate, so tender, that it broke something open inside her. I love you, she whispered. I love you too, more than I ever thought possible. That night, for the first time, Beatrice initiated more than just a kiss. She turned to Sam in their bed and said simply, I'm ready, if you are. Sam searched her face. Are you sure we don't have to? I know we don't have to, but I want to. I want you. I want this. What happened next was gentle, careful, and completely different from anything Beatrice had experienced before. Sam moved slowly, checking with her, constantly making sure she was comfortable, safe, wanted. And when it was over, Beatrice lay in his arms and felt whole for the first time in her life. Thank you, she whispered. For what? For showing me what this should be, what I deserve. Sam kissed her forehead. Thank you for trusting me enough to try. The morning of the trial dawned cold and clear. Beatrice, dressed in her best dress, dark blue with white trim, and pinned her hair up with the silver brush. Sam wore his only suit, and together they rode into town. The courthouse was packed. It seemed like everyone in Julesburg had come to watch. Thomas sat at the defendant's table looking smug and unconcerned. But when he saw Beatrice and Sam walk in, his expression darkened. The trial lasted 3 days. Margaret testified first, her voice shaking but steady. Then came the other women, each telling their story of Thomas's violence and manipulation. Clara's friend testified about the bruises, the fear, the desperate letter Clara had sent begging for help that never came. And then, on the 3rd day, Elizabeth took the stand. Thomas went white when he saw her. Elizabeth, what are you doing? She didn't look at him. She looked at Beatrice instead. Tell the truth. the lawyer prompted gently. Elizabeth took a breath. My husband is a violent man. He's hit me more times than I can count. He's threatened to kill me if I ever leave. And the night before Clara died, I overheard him telling his brother that she was becoming a problem, that he needed to handle it. The courtroom erupted. The judge banged his gavel. Thomas lunged toward Elizabeth, but the bailiff held him back. You lying bitch! Thomas screamed. I'll kill you for this. Just like you killed Clara. Elizabeth shot back. Just like you would have killed me eventually. The judge banged his gavel again. Order. Order in this court. The trial concluded the next day. The jury deliberated for 6 hours before returning with a verdict. Guilty of manslaughter in the death of Clara Osborne. Guilty of assault against multiple women. Guilty of threatening witnesses. Thomas Garrett was sentenced to 20 years in prison. When the verdict was read, Sam grabbed Beatrice's hand so hard it hurt. Beatrice didn't care. She just held on and watched justice finally happen. Outside the courthouse, Elizabeth approached them. Thank you for giving me the courage to speak. You gave yourself that courage, Beatrice said. We just reminded you it was there. What will I do now? I have nothing. No home, no money. You'll stay with us, Sam said immediately, until you figure out what you want to do next. Elizabeth's eyes filled with tears. Why would you do that for me? Because someone should have done it for Clara, Beatrice said, and because no woman should have to face this alone. Elizabeth moved into the third bedroom, the one that had held baby things for so long. Sam and Beatrice helped her clear it out, donate the cradle to a family in town, and turn it into a space for healing and new beginnings. Over the next few months, Elizabeth became part of their family. She helped with the ranch, learned to cook, grew stronger and more confident every day. And when she finally decided to return to Denver to reconcile with her estranged sister, she left with money in her pocket and hope in her heart. You saved my life, she told Beatrice the morning she left. No, you saved your own life. We just held the door open. After Elizabeth left, Beatrice and Sam stood on their porch, watching the sun set over their land. The ranch was thriving. The cattle were healthy. The house was full of warmth and laughter and love. We did it, Sam said. We actually did it. We did more than that. We built something real, something good. Sam turned to her and pulled her close. I have a question for you. What? How do you feel about children? Real children, not just hypothetical ones. Beatrice's heart skipped. Are you asking what I think you're asking? I'm asking if you're ready to think about starting a family. Our family. She thought about the nursery upstairs, empty now but waiting. She thought about the love she felt for this man, this life, this future. And she thought about the little girl she'd once been, who'd dreamed of a home where she felt safe and loved. Yes, she said. I'm ready. I'm more than ready. Sam picked her up and spun her around, both of them laughing like children. When he set her down, he kissed her thoroughly. I love you, Beatrice Osborne. I love you, Samuel Osborne. They stood there in the fading light, two people who'd survived more pain than anyone should have to endure, holding each other and believing in tomorrow. 6 months later, Beatrice stood in that same spot, her hand resting on her gently swelling belly, watching Sam work in the fields. He looked up, caught her watching, and waved. She waved back, smiling so wide her face hurt. She'd come to Colorado with bruises under her dress and fear in her heart. She'd married a stranger out of desperation and hope. And somehow, impossibly, she'd found exactly what she'd been searching for her entire life. A home. A partner. A love that healed instead of harmed. A future that belonged to her and no one else. She'd come broken, and she'd been made whole, not by Sam's love alone, but by her own courage to accept it, to believe she deserved it, to fight for it when the world tried to take it away. And as she stood there watching her husband carrying their child, living in a home they'd built together with their own hands and hearts, Beatrice knew one thing with absolute certainty. She had survived everything life had thrown at her, and she had come out the other side stronger, braver, and more loved than she'd ever dreamed possible. The bruises had faded, but the woman who'd worn them had not. She had transformed into someone new, someone who knew her own worth, who demanded respect, who gave love freely, because she finally understood what real love meant. And that woman, that survivor, that warrior, was exactly who she'd always been meant to be.